Wrapping up the fall portion of the Luther College women's tennis season with head coach Adam Strand. And coach, went down to Pella this past weekend, had the individual end of things tournament-wise for the conference. Sounds like the B-Flights went really, really well for you guys.
It did, Darren. I think some of us are still thawing out from the weekend here. We had a beautiful weekend in Decorah the previous weekend, and it was pretty cold and windy and all that. But our B flights and some of our girls who have maybe played lower in our lineup or more of a JV role for us. It was their time to shine this weekend, I guess you could say. Haley Johnson ended up winning the singles tournament, won 3 matches Friday. 2 matches on Saturday. Along the way, beat Central's 4-player, Wartburg's 5, and Simpson's 2 in the final, and really surprised a lot of us, maybe especially herself. But I think what she really showed is that you don't get an award for the prettiest strokes; you get an award for competing the hardest. And she competed really well all weekend, so that was a huge bright spot for us. Madison Crow and Molly Brown made the finals of the B draw. They lost to the number 1 team from Dubuque, who actually had the number 1 singles player from the A flight on that team. So we kind of just ran into a tough squad in the final. And then we had 2 first-year players, Claire Christian and Anna Pearson, who took 3rd in that flight. They were kind of our 5 doubles team for the fall and beat Wartburg's legit 3 team 8-1 in the 3rd place match. So yeah, a lot of good things from kind of some players who have played maybe minor roles on our team this fall.
Is that a sign that you've gotten deeper throughout the fall season?
I think so, and and I think our depth was maybe always there in some ways, but this was just an opportunity for some of these girls to show that a little bit more. I think that's been a big strength of our team this fall, is with our 12 women, that really anybody on the team can hit with anybody. And so yeah, I think we saw some of that this weekend, and even though we didn't get players to the final day on Saturday, a lot of our players in the A flight were right there. Maggie Helms played a heck of a match against one of the seeded players from Co. and had a few match points and just wasn't able to finish it. Adriana DePaulis, continued to play some good tennis for us. She's been a real good senior leader for us this fall, and Jenna Myers had a couple real good matches. So yeah, I think overall there were a lot of bright spots, some things we need to continue to improve on, but overall a real good weekend for us.
In this individual tournament, when you're playing 4 or 5 matches over the course of a 24-hour period, how much of a mental challenge is that? How much of a physical challenge is it?
I think it was a huge mental challenge, not just for our players, but for everybody. Friday, I mean, it was gusting winds, 20, 30 miles an hour. It was cold, and we just haven't had weather like that this fall. So I think it was a huge mental challenge for a lot of players, and I think that was something where you go back to Haley with the B-Flight singles of, there were maybe 1 or 2 girls she played on Friday that after a while you could tell maybe didn't want to be there as much as Haley did, and so I think you saw that play out on some courts, and I think for the most part our girls did a pretty good job with that, and we were ready to compete and handle those conditions. But yeah, I think that mentally played a big role in the tournament as a whole.
And what's going to be the key to being as ready as possible come spring for your squad?
A couple things, Darren. Our women will have a little time to kind of recover, and again, we've been a little nicked and bruised up this fall, but then they'll get to work with our strength and conditioning coach, with Dave O'Connor, here towards the end of the month. Still be outside doing some hitting on their own. We started individual meetings with some of our players yesterday. We'll continue to do those over the next few weeks, and we've got a huge challenge ahead of us this spring. I think it's the toughest spring schedule we've had in my 4 years here, and I hope that our team will look at that as an opportunity for us to get better, and we're going to get challenged every time out, and I think something we've got to continue to work on is embracing that challenge and enjoying when things get close and when things get competitive. And our hope is that we'll go through the spring and that'll prepare us well, when we get to April, when we get to that AQ tournament.
All right, this is our final interview for 2014. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We'll talk to you in the spring.
Thanks, Darren.
Adam Strand talking Luther College women's tennis.